Political Party Funding Act, which came into effect in April of 2021, is now in its third year. It provides legislation for three key areas, and one of them, the regulation of private donations to political parties. Now, parties are required to disclose all donations above 100,000 rand. For the first quarter of this year, only 4 political parties have made declarations, which came to over 58 million rand. Matsobane Nkoko is the manager for party funding with the IEC, and he joins us now for a breakdown of the declarations. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. As we mentioned, this act is now in its third year. Let's start perhaps with your overall reflections. In its third year, in the first quarter at least, you've only got 4 political parties that have declared, and in the last quarter of the first year when it started, you had some 12 political parties. What are your overall reflections?
Thank you very much, Dudu, and good afternoon to viewers at home. The Political Party Funding Act, I think it's reaching a stage that we believe it's maturing. I think we are now closing the second financial year, and in a matter of days, we'll be receiving the annual financial statements of political parties that have been audited, and that will indicate to us what exactly political parties have been receiving and from whom they've been getting the money. At this point, with 4 political parties declaring at the beginning of the financial year, it tells us that very early on in the year, there isn't much activity in terms of fundraising for political party funding. However, it's important to acknowledge that at an amount of about 58 million rand, this is quite significant. I think it's the second highest of the 9 declarations that have been done before. So the amounts are increasing, although we see fewer political parties early on in the year. We are anticipating that going forward, though, the number of political parties will increase as we get closer to the elections.
And that's just it. It's the second highest declarations, and that speaks to what? Us approaching an election year?
I think we could argue that, there is a very close link with that. We've seen even towards the 2021 local government elections that the amount of donations were increasing quite significantly. So I could say that we expected that the numbers will be high. We just didn't expect that the number of parties will be fewer, but that the amount will increase. It's something that we are anticipating.
Okay. Let's take a look at the report itself, the published declaration report as per your website, and the report details as at 31 August 2023. If we can bring that up for our viewers to also take a look with us. So you've got Action SA, you've got the ANC, you've got Build One South Africa, and you've got the Democratic Alliance, which are the 4 parties that have declared. Perhaps let's start with the lowest to the highest, the lowest being Build One South Africa. Total donations received 1.3 million rand. Break that down for us.
Yes, actually for Build One SA, the total that has been reported on for this quarter is 3.3 million rand. That is made of 2 million rand that was donated in this very quarter, and there is additional 1.3 million rand, which is a late donation. Build One SA, I think, registered with the Commission as a registered party in December of last year. So by all accounts, it is clear that they were not very familiar with the requirements of the legislation. And with regards to that, we have trained them sufficiently to make sure that this challenge does not happen. Now, the 2 million rand, which is a very interesting phenomenon, that was declared by Build One SA, it was donated by a gentleman called Martin Moshal. Mr. Martin Moshal is previously a constant donor to Action SA. So that for us suggests that, there are, donors like that have got particular preference for new parties and so forth and so forth. Now, with that, we look forward to seeing with the new parties that are being established, we wonder if Mr. Martin Moshal will, give them the head start, as they begin to formulate their parties. The 1.3 million is speaking about, which is a late donation. A part of it came from Mr. Shomelo Biko, who was at one point reported as the chief executive of the party. I think this is an amount of 200,000 rand. And there was another 1 million rand from an entity called, I think, R58m Investment, and a Mr. Bob Hersov who donated 100,000. So I think they are starting out nicely. We have seen this with Action SA as well when they started, that there were a lot of donations that were coming through to the party. So you can see that there are certain donors that have a particular interest in the new parties to give them a head start, as it were.
Okay, let's get on to Action SA. There are donations coming in at just over 12 million. You've got Herman Mashaba, Solomon David, Nancy. Give us that breakdown in terms of the donors.
Correct. Most significantly with the Action SA, 60% of the 12.1 million rand that Action SA declared came from a lady by the name of Victoria Friedenheim. I think in the past, Ms. Friedenheim has donated to the same party, and you look at the media reports, Ms. Friedenheim is linked to the Oppenheimer family and has dominated quite significantly for the same party in the past. Mr. Herman Mashaba, I think he's really taking care of his own political party. I think this it's something that he does more regularly. He donates more regularly to his political party. And there is an entity called Style Eyes of California, which also is very constant in making donations to the party, and they have come to party once again in this particular quarter.
Coming in at number 3, the African National Congress with their declarations totaling 20 million rand. Let's get a breakdown of that party.
Dudu, the 20 million rand for the ANC, I think it's a very serious talking point. I think we have looked at the media ourselves. We are seeing that Batho Trust and Chancellor House Trust, they are significant donors to the political party. Batho Trust donated some 15 million rand, which tells us that for the current financial year, Batho Trust has reached the ceiling, they've reached the limit, they will not be able to donate any more to the ANC. Chancellor House Trust, I think we know that is very closely linked with the ANC as a investment vehicle, I'm made to believe. They donated only 5 million rand this time around. It tells us that later in the year they may still come up with another 10 million rand before they can reach the 15 million rand ceiling.
Let's take a look at the Democratic Alliance, the highest, with their donations coming in at over 22 million rand, almost 23 million.
Certainly. Yes, the Democratic Alliance this time around has come out tops. In fact, the position interchanges between them and the ANC in terms of who receives, the largest portion. Of course, Action SA does now and again, show up the largest donations, but it's largely between, the DA and the ANC who reports the highest donations. Now, with them, there is an entity called Fynbos Equidate. Media reports link Fynbos Equidate, I think, with a Michelle Leroux, who's the owner of the Capitec Bank. They've donated 15 million rand to the Democratic Alliance. Once again, we don't expect to see Fynbos Equidate anymore in the current financial year. Very early on in the first quarter, they donated 15 million rand, meaning that they have reached the ceiling. Now, we're also noticing that there are new donors, both individuals as well as the entities. There's an entity called Main Street 1564. They've donated 5 million rand, which is the second highest donor to the party Democratic Alliance. They have never donated to the DA before. But now it says to you, DA has enlarged the pool, has increased the pool of its donors. So we are, obviously can reasonably expect Main Street 1564 to come back with more donations as we approach the elections. With 5 million rand at the moment, they still have room to go, up to 15 million rand. And there is a number of individuals that also have donated in that regard, who are, if you like, very new donors to the party. So it suggests that I think the machinery in the DA is very active in terms of raising money. More significantly,
please finish your thought.
Yes.
Quickly.
Yeah. More significantly, there is an entity. It's a German foundation called Friedrich Naumann Foundation. You could almost expect, even before we publish, that Friedrich Naumann Foundation will show up when it comes to DA. I can almost confirm that since the act coming into effect on the 1st of April 2021, every single quarter, Friedrich Naumann Foundation, which is an international entity, has made some donation to the DA, and it ranges around 200, 700,000 and so forth, for particularly training and policy development for the DA. So you can tell that there's a very close relationship between FNF and the DA in this regard.
You mentioned a number of donors that we do not expect to see coming again because they've reached that 15 million threshold, but there are some loopholes that exist. Very quickly for us, what is being done to sort of curb that?
The Act certainly does have weaknesses. But with regards to loopholes, I think the biggest challenge could be with regards to, the events that the political parties hold in the name of fundraising and so forth and so forth. Those events, the Act does not give us sufficient power, doesn't give us sufficient machinery to be able to monitor them and see how much money comes through those particular events. Yes, we anticipate that at the end of the financial year, the financials will demonstrate how much money has come through those particular events.
Okay.
But it's not always very clear whether that money is indeed all of it declared, and to what extent the parties have been open or transparent about such funding.
I wish we had time to explore why those who did not declare didn't actually do it in this quarter at least. But for now, thank you very much for your time.